All right. So did running backs and quarterbacks yesterday. And then I did a quick recap on week 1. Just a quick recap on that video is I picked Ben versus Kansas City, Luck versus Washington, Watson, Tennessee. I kind of like Alex Smith a little bit. He got 20 points last week, and he didn't really have to do anything. Very efficient. That's Alex Smith. This week he's going up against the Colts. So I do like Alex Smith there on a low ownership cash play. Probably going to be very low owned, but under 5%. He's a little higher than he's normally. Normally he's going to be sitting around 2%, but a little higher just because it's at home against the Colts. So it's a higher implied total, and he's cheap, but he's just not a sexy play, so he's not going to get much ownership. And then I like Tyrod Taylor at New Orleans. That's going to be a massive play ownership-wise because he's 6,600 on FanDuel. He's not that expensive on DraftKings either. His rushing ability, plus a very high implied total, and New Orleans is favored by 9. So, hey, they were favored by 9.5 week 1. So, and then I did put on there Patrick Mahomes. I just added him in my video. I talked about him with the whole, the whole week 1 going up against Chargers. They always dominate the Chargers, but one guy commented about my whole game script theory, which I'll talk about real quick, is if you are a high implied total for the week for the game and you're not favored to win, that means you usually use the away quarterback or whatever quarterback's not favored to win, and then you use the running back of the team that's favored, and that gives you the running back that's favored because they should theoretically are running the ball in the second half, and that gives you the quarterback that should be throwing the ball majority of the time, aka Fitzpatrick for like 40-something times. So I liked Luck. I didn't think the Bengals not being favorites, I didn't like that. I thought that was an easy bet. Cincinnati +3 was very easy for me. I would have picked them straight up. I did pick them straight up. So you're looking for implied totals and trying to build lineups based off of that, target games. So Patrick Mahomes does fit all these criteria, so I went ahead and added him in. He's probably going to be a decently owned pick this week because what he did last week. So, and then for running backs, I like Melvin Gordon a lot. I think they're going to blow through Buffalo. And it doesn't matter if for some reason it's a close game, Melvin Gordon's going to be used. If for some reason it's a blowout, not for some reason, when it's a blowout for the Chargers, Gordon's going to be used. If for some reason Buffalo's up, Gordon's going to be used. It doesn't really matter. He's a workhorse. I do like Kareem Hunt. His price went down. His ownership's going to be down, and it's a very high implied total. I like Kareem Hunt. James Conner is going to get all the love, rightfully so. His price went up to 7,000, but that's still fine. You're getting a 30 carries, and probably a little less. I do think they're going to have to throw a little bit more. Weather's going to be better. I love Jai against Tampa Bay. I like him a lot. Doug Peterson, their coach, said he's going to be a workhorse. AP versus Indy, 6,700. I don't care for AP. Overall, I'm still a little reluctant on him, and he got a lot of the carries because they were up. I probably don't like him as much now. I'm actually going to put an arrow down because I think Indy's going to hang with him the whole time. That's not going to give AP 26 carries. I think he's going to get high teens. I do like Crowell. I talked about, depending on what the Jets do, Jets. Crowell had 10 carries, 102 yards. One of them was that 60-yard touchdown. So still, like, even if you take that away, it's still 10 carries for 40 yards, or that'd be 9 carries for 40 yards. And then they were able to move around some running backs, and their defense was extremely efficient. But yeah, 10 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown. I like him a lot back there. Now he's playing against Miami. So I do like that move for 6,400, and I really like Royce Freeman versus Oakland. It's in Denver. So he got 71 yards. He was used a good bit, got his carries. So I think they're using that other guy that no one even knows about. But I think Royce Freeman's going to be used a good bit. So, but on to wide receivers and tight ends, and then I'll do my stacks at the end. This video is going to be a little quicker because I got to go soon. But AB is an obvious. Oh, and Kamara is an obvious pick for running backs. Like, I don't even list those guys that are just that obvious. But as for wide receivers, a couple of these are obvious picks. Antonio Brown versus Kansas City. I don't think Kansas City has a single person that can cover Antonio Brown, and it's at home. I do think he drops 30 points. And for his price tag, he's not going to be as high ownership as he should be. I think he's a big 30-point play. And real quick for week 1, keep going back. Those salaries were all over the place. They weren't as tight or as accurate as they're going to be. They were kind of everywhere. And then you had the luxury of getting a few running backs very cheap. You had James White in there, obviously James Conner, a couple of James in there that did well, that really freed up your lineup. And you had a lot of 30-point guys, which is what I said in my first video, is there's going to be a lot of 30-point guys. Me and my buddies were talking about lineups to take down a tournament. And I thought you'd need 240 to win a tournament and 180 to win in cash. And that's exactly what happened. And if you did not have Alvin Kamara, Tyreek Hill had 38. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you're not going to have Fitzpatrick, but you could have had Drew Brees easily, Michael Thomas. If you had to have 2 or 3 of these guys. And it was pretty easy. If you look at the game script theory, like I talk about, you take the team that is favored to win. You take the running back with a high implied total. That was Alvin Kamara. James Conner was a very easy pick, and Gronk was a very easy pick, and Baltimore Ravens was an easy pick. That's 2 running backs, your tight end, and your defense right there. And then take the away quarterback in a very high implied total was Fitzpatrick, and then you do a stack with him is Mike Evans. It wasn't a hard pick in that sense. It's really hard to just what we call pull the trigger. It's really hard to pull the trigger on Fitzpatrick. So he was Fitzmagic last week, so we're not sure if you go based off that. I like using that game script theory. I didn't use it as much week 1, should have, but that's fine. I just picked different. I thought Luck would be behind a lot, and he was, and had to throw 51 times. He had the interception at the end. So using that same theory and bringing that into week 2 is what I'm kind of keeping in mind. And I'll go back to Julio versus Carolina. After all that talk about Julio last week not being used in the end zone, I think he has one of those Julio games where he just gets his 3 touchdowns for the year in one game. So I do like Julio. It's versus Carolina. It's a very low total. It's in Atlanta. They lost Keanu Neal. Carolina's defense, I don't think it looked that good. It's that Dallas is that bad. Because you got to think that they had a beat-up offensive line for Dallas, and that was it. They got Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott. That's it. So I don't know how good Carolina is. I do think their front seven's a lot better. They can stop the run. But I think Atlanta's going to open up the playbook a little bit. So, and that was against a very good – I think that was one of the better overall defenses in the league, Philly. So, and that was in Philly. So I do like Julio. He is going to be low owned. I did put caution next to his name. His price tag is a little high, and it's a low over under. But I do think I definitely think he scores a touchdown this week. This guy's going to be a little bit high owned, I think, and I think he's going to be I'm going to try to fit him with AB in lineups. That's going to be hard to do, so I'm going to have to use a cheap quarterback stack, but I like DeAndre Hopkins at Tennessee. The line still hasn't come out yet because we don't know about Marcus Mariota. If Mariota, I don't care if Mariota is really in or not. I don't think Tennessee really scores, so I don't know how much Houston has to score. I like that Lamar Miller got 98 yards. He looked really good, actually, and that was against New England with, I think, a good defense. So I could like Lamar Miller more. If Mariota's ruled out, they're going to favor Houston. It's going to be a low over-under. I think it's going to be 46.5 if Mariota's in. Without Mariota, you're probably looking at 45. That's a low-scoring game. So I'm still not completely sold on Hopkins. It just depends on what comes out for the line and for the over-under. But I do like him as of right now. I think Houston comes out and is going to score. I have to write down this guy. I hate this guy. He's a freak. It's Tyreek. But Hill at Pittsburgh, he's 8,100. He's just an honorable mention for me. I don't like how high his price is, but for me, he's just a GPP play, and I don't play GPP. I play cash. So when he hits 38 points, they're over 30 points, it sucks for me because people use him in cash. And all of a sudden it's like I did, man, I hate when that happens. But and it happens too much, so maybe I should use him more. So I wrote him down as an honorable mention. I don't really care for his price tag, but Patrick Mahomes is going to throw. It's a very high implied total. I think Pittsburgh is going to try to drop. I mean, obviously, but I think they do put up over 28 points. I think they put up right around 30. They were averaging like 27 at home last year. And I like them more with Juju in his second year. I like him with James Conner there too. He's not better than Bell, but he is very good. And I like him with James Washington out there. I just like this offense. And coming off a tie to the Cleveland Browns in bad weather and what should be decent weather in Pittsburgh, I like this game a lot, game script. So I like Patrick Mahomes, and I like pretty much all of Pittsburgh's offense. But because of that, I got to say Hill. T.Y. Hilton had 11 targets. He's now facing Washington. And Luck and T.Y. are not favored to win. Washington's favored to win. So high implied total. Away quarterback is not favored to win. I think Luck has to throw the ball for another 40-plus attempts. And T.Y. Hilton had 11 targets last week in a tough matchup. I think his matchups, Josh Norman isn't going to shadow him. He probably stays on his side. He usually does. He usually doesn't shadow. So I like T.Y. Hilton here a lot. Josh Norman isn't that great anymore either. So he declined a lot. He actually had his worst numbers last year. Juju versus KC. Pretty much I'm just trying to target this game pretty heavily. So Juju's price went up a little bit, 7,200 on FanDuel. I like him more on DraftKings. But playing the slot right there, it was supposed to be a tough matchup for Keenan Allen. Nope. So because he is going against Kendall Fuller, I still like Juju here. Kendall Fuller was traded for a reason. He's had up and down years, mostly down. So I liked him. At first I was really big on Keenan Allen last week, and then I started fading off when after every single video people talked about Kendall Fuller, and I finally just kind of was like, all right, I'll only get minimum exposure. So I hate all you guys that said that. Demaryius Thomas, a lot of people are going to be on Sanders. Sanders had 11 targets. I played Sanders in a little bit. A lot of people were on him. So I just don't like Denver's offense. But I do like them against Oakland. Demaryius Thomas had 10 targets for 7,000 with Sanders. Price went up. Let me see how much it went up. So he's at 68. So Thomas is 200 more than him with less targets. And then this person comes in every time I do a video. And then Thomas had 10 targets. Sanders had the big game. Thomas still had a good game with a touchdown at the end. I like him. I think more people are on Sanders. So I'm going to play a little bit of Demaryius Thomas and fade Sanders. Jarvis Landry had an insane amount of targets. And now he's going against New Orleans. We don't know how good New Orleans defense is anymore. So I do like Jarvis Landry there. It was pretty much just Jarvis Landry. David Njoku was out there a good bit, but they didn't really have much. Josh Gordon played a lot of snaps, didn't get a lot of targets. Josh Gordon is going to take away his targets this week. I think Josh Gordon has a massive game. He's down at 6,300. Handwriting sucks. He's at 6,300. I think he has a massive game. New Orleans is favored to win by 9. It is in a dome with a very high implied total. I think Josh Gordon goes absolutely crazy this game. His average yards per catch for his career is like 17.6. Guess what? He had one catch for 17 yards, and it was a touchdown. I think he gets 8 targets. I think he gets 5 of those caught. Just do 5 times 17, and I give one of those a touchdown. So I think that's his floor, honestly, in this game for this total. When the Browns are forced to throw, I also like Tyrod a lot because his rushing ability, and he's going to have to throw. He was 15 for 40 last game. I don't think he's that horrible this game because weather conditions, week 1, and how windy it was. So I think Tyrod connects on a few more of those balls, and that helps out a lot. I wrote down Will Fuller. We got to check his injury status. He should still be good, but I like Will Fuller at Tennessee because I also like Watson. If you want to pivot off of Hopkins a little bit, then I do like getting a piece of this Houston offense. I think they click week 2. They had a very tough matchup, and Fuller was out last minute. So you put Fuller in there, and I think that does help their offense even more. Kenny Galladay. All my friends made fun of me for liking Kenny Galladay, so I have to say this. They all apologized. One of them's watching this video now. He knows who he is. He's 50% of my viewers. Yeah, he was 7 catches, 114 yards last night against the best defense in the league, the Jets. And he had a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. So he was the Detroit Lions' best defensive player too. Just saying. He's that good. And now he's in beautiful San Francisco at 5,700. He's their wide receiver 1. Changed my mind. I say he's their wide receiver 1 already just because he had the most targets, the most catches, the most yards, the most fumble recoveries. And now he's in a very high implied total. They're coming off a brutal loss against the best team in the NFL, the Jets, statistically. And it's a very high implied total. It just depends if Stafford – he came back in. He just got the freaking humiliation knocked out of him. Like the Gordon call. Yeah, all Gordons are going to be good this week, Melvin and Josh. I'm going to have a Gordon lineup. Like, I'm going to have both of them. But, yeah, I think Josh Gordon's going to be low owned because he didn't really do anything week 1, but he's on the field for 80% of the snaps. And I'm also going to talk about one of those tight ups that helps Josh Gordon more. But, yeah, Kenny Galladay, he's going to be very low owned. He was on the field just as much as Jones and Tate. So I think he's a very good pick. And Stafford loved him after that forced fumble and recovery. The team loves him, but whatever. Pierre Garçon had 6 targets. Talking about this San Francisco game, I really like this San Fran-Detroit game. I think Detroit comes out, puts it together. I like Matt Patricia as a coach, so I think he gets it together. Stafford, you're not going to see Stafford throw 4 picks. I think he cleans that up a lot. Stafford does throw picks, but not to that amount. Garçon had 6 targets, and he's 5,600. That he had a very tough matchup. Yeah, there's Darius Slay and Quandre Diggs back there, but I do like Pierre Garçon for his price and the high implied total. So that's why I like Pierre Garçon. He does have a tough matchup, but Marquise Goodwin's beat up. So for his price, I think he's a very good cash play. And then Corey Davis had 13 targets. So now Delaney Walker's out. I like Corey Davis a lot, 6,300. If the implied total's high, even if I think Houston will be favored by 1.5 in this game, when the lines finally come out, he's 6,300. He had 13 targets. So I like Corey Davis. I hate that Delaney Walker is done, but that does help Corey Davis out. Another tight end that got hurt that helps out my wide receiver. I kind of like Devin Funchess. The splits of Devin Funchess when Greg Olsen are out, whenever Greg Olsen is out, is massive. It's a huge split. So his targets go up. His red zone targets go up. I think the over-under is 44. I think this game goes over 44. I do think Atlanta wins this game. Keanu Neal's out, and that's their really good safety for Atlanta. So that helps Devin Funchess, and Greg Olsen's out. So I like Devin Funchess here in what I think will be over 44. So it's not bad. He's 6,000. So I do think he gets a touchdown. I think he pays off. I don't think he has a monster game, but for 6,000 low ownership, what could be a sneaky high-scoring game, I like him there. And then I don't have much tight ends. So Ertz, he had 10 targets with old Foles going against one of the best offenses in the league, Tampa Bay. He's 6,500. I don't care for Gronk. I don't care for Kelsey as much. You can get Kelsey. Like, you can't not like Kelsey. It's a high implied total. I'm wondering how much he's going to be used. Like, he really wasn't used week 1. Neither was Kareem Hunt. But I think both those guys are going to be low owned, especially because his price tag for Kelsey is second highest tight end, and Ertz is right below him. So if you'd use Mahomes, Ertz, can't knock you for that, or Mahomes, Kelsey. But I do like Ertz. He got his targets, and I'm just worried about the hurricane coming in. So there's a hurricane coming into Jacksonville in like a couple days. So it just depends on how long it lingers, when it actually hits. So you got to think about the New England-Jacksonville game. You got to think about potentially Tampa Bay. I think the Miami game is in New York. So you got to keep these East Coast teams in mind that are outside with this hurricane coming in. So check the weather if you're going to play Ertz or any Tampa Bay players. I'm not playing any Tampa Bay players. Y'all can have Fitzpatrick week 2. But, yeah, I think the Eagles win pretty easily. I like J.J. a lot, so I do like Ertz. Jordan Reed against Indy. I think that's going to be a shootout. It's a high implied total. Jordan Reed got his touchdown. Alex Smith likes tight ends. It's going to be a little bit of a shootout. So I do like Jordan Reed there for 62. He's one of my highest owned tight ends this week. If his price wasn't as high, he'd be my highest owned. But because I like these next guys, he's not. George Kittle, he led the team in targets. It's mostly because of matchup, but they don't really have a running back there. They got Matt Breida and Alfred Morris. Alfred Morris was atrocious. I feel bad because I like the guy, but there's a reason he's been bounced around the league. Matt Breida was decent, but they had a really tough matchup. But I do like George Kittle, and once again, high implied total, good weather, 5,600. You can definitely do worse there at tight end. And this is for cash. And then Jake Doyle, 5,600. Jake Doyle, he had 10 targets last week. He had that fumble at the end, so that brought him down a bit. Ebron had the touchdown. Ebron had 5 targets. Doyle had 10. Doyle's going to get you another 10 targets, maybe more this week. So, and he's against Washington for 5,600. That's probably one of my favorite stacks too, is Luck Doyle. Also like Luck TY, but David Njoku, this guy's healthy. He's playing at New Orleans. Anything you can get a piece of that. Yeah, for Jack Doyle, for David Njoku, his health is a concern, but he is 5,300. He was on the field for 87% of the snaps, and he got 7 targets. He just didn't do anything with them. He had like 3 catches for 13 yards. So that's fine. Horrible weather. If it's a high implied total and they have to throw a lot, Cleveland Browns do. I like him for 53. We just got to make sure he's healthy. And then I'll just do my stacks real quick. Pittsburgh, just anyone on Pittsburgh. Any way you can get them, I like them. I think a way to get the Pittsburgh offense that makes your lineup different than other people's is stacking the quarterback with the running back. A lot of people do quarterback, wide receiver stacks, quarterback, tight ends. That's a given. But if you want to get a piece of the Pittsburgh offense and differentiate your lineup, you can go Big Ben, James Conner in that way, because a lot of people are going to play Big Ben and AB or Big Ben and Juju. And then a lot of people are just going to go James Conner. I'll have Big Ben and James Conner. I might even go Big Ben, Conner, AB. And then I'll probably have to go like J.J., Isaiah Crowell, some cheap running backs to offset Big Ben and AB's cost. I'm going to have Juju mixed in where I don't have AB. And so any way I can get Pittsburgh, I'll take them. Same with the Chiefs. It's just hard for me to play Tyreek because I'm a cash player. So Patrick Mahomes and Hunt are good. I will have Mahomes, Kelsey, because he did so little last week and his price tag. I think people will be off of him. So I will have Mahomes and Kelsey, but I like Mahomes, Hunt too. I think a lot of people are going to play Hill. I think a lot of people are going to play Mahomes, Hill. The chances of them both hitting pay dirt again back-to-back weeks that's hard to do in the NFL. So chances are he's not going to have another 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I like Mahomes, Hunt. And then I like Watson with Hopkins and Fuller, or vice versa. It just depends on Fuller's health. If Fuller is not healthy, I like Hopkins a lot Watson Hopkins a lot because I don't think Tennessee is going to or can stop Hopkins as well. I think their secondary is good, but we don't know how good because it was Miami. Tannehill sucks. So we're still not sure about that. And we don't know what Watson we're seeing. That was a tough defense playing in New England week 1, coming off an ACL without having Fuller there. So not really sure about that, but I do like the ceiling. That's more of a GPP play, but I am going to have it in some cash lineups. Luck Doyle and then Luck TY a lot. Like I said, TY had 11 targets. So I think this is another similar shootout, and I don't think he has a hard matchup. So I like the Colts there too. Tyrod Taylor and Gordon's going to be my main one. The floor is there and the ceiling's there. So that for me is good on both sides. And the price is good. Tyrod Taylor, old Flash Gordon gives your lineups just free reins on whoever you want, Antonio Brown or a big running back, whoever. Jarvis Landry had a massive amount of targets. That's because Landry didn't have all the targets. And yeah, he's just comfortable. Tyrod, he's not a great quarterback. He's a good fantasy quarterback, but he's not a good quarterback overall. He doesn't really read options, and he'll just do like some checkdowns. He doesn't turn the ball over because he doesn't take shots downfield, and he'll throw it away. He's a smart quarterback. He's Alex Smith. So I do like him with his weapons, though. I like David Njoku, Jarvis Landry, and Gordon. So those are guys I'll stack him with. But because he can rush more, I like him, especially in cash. But I like him with Josh Gordon to open up my ceiling a little bit. I wrote Smith Reed ? Kind of like Alex Smith. He did get you 20 points last week, so in cash I like him. And a high implied total where it should be a shootout. He didn't have to do anything in the second half. Like once they dropped, they put three touchdowns in the third or 3 touchdowns at the end of the second. And then that was it. They didn't have to do anything. Arizona looked horrible. So I do like Jordan Reed here if the game script is saying what I think it will. But I like Luck Doyle more than Smith Reed. I'll probably just have him in maybe 1 or 2. And then Patrick Mahomes, Kareem Hunt that I already talked about. So let me know if I'm missing any stacks. Just real quick, for Washington, the whole reason I wrote Smith Reed ? Washington's targets, Chris Thompson had 7. That's Alex Smith for you. Paul Richardson had 6, and one was a deep one that Paul Richardson should have had. He's a GPP play for me. Jordan Reed had 5 and turned 5 targets into a very good game. I don't like that he only got 5 targets. Like I said, they didn't have to do much. Alex Smith, he's Alex Smith. Like, he's a game manager. He doesn't do much. Jamison Crowder 4, Josh Doxson 3. So I really don't like any guys here. Paul Richardson has a great matchup, I think, for 5,700 and good game script with 6 targets. I don't think Chris Thompson's going to have 7 targets again next week. So we'll see. And I do think Reed's going to have to be used more. So I see Reed getting 8 targets and Thompson getting more around 4 or 5. And then Paul Richardson staying around 6, 7 targets. And if he connects on a deep ball, you're good. So I do like that. Let me know about Tyreek Hill, why I should play him this week, because I put honorable mention every week. I never play him. It usually bites me. But, yeah, don't expect this week to need 240 points to win a tournament. There's not going to be that many 30-point players. That was absolutely insane. And the salaries are a lot more tighter. So people were able to get all these 30-point players. So don't be discouraged if you didn't do great week 1. The salaries were everywhere. The points were everywhere. So this week it'll be a lot different. But, yeah, let me know. Comment on it. I'll be doing these videos usually Mondays, Tuesdays. I'll just go live. It's easier for me to upload them. So Mondays, Tuesdays, if you subscribe, it lets you know like when I'm going live. And if you like the video and let me know, hey, here's some stacks, different players that you like and why, and just bounce some ideas. So good luck week 2. Hope you all do well. Thanks.